The phone would not stop ringing. Nicole Brooks lay in her king-sized bed, alone as she had been for the past 3 nights, watching her husband's name flash across the screen in the darkness. 2:17 a.m. The blue glow cast shadows across the bedroom ceiling of the house she had paid for, in the neighborhood she had chosen, in the life she had built with her own 2 hands. She did not want to answer. Something in her gut told her that whatever waited on the other end of that call would change everything. But after 12 years of marriage, old habits were hard to break. She reached for the phone. "Raymond, do you know what time it is?" His voice came through the speaker in a way she had never heard before. Frantic. Desperate. The kind of panic that made her sit straight up in bed, clutching the silk sheets she had bought from that boutique in Charleston last summer. "Nicole, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I need $33,000. Right now. Tonight. You need to transfer it to this account number I am about to give you." She blinked into the darkness. "What are you talking about? Where are you?" "I am at St. Catherine's Hospital. My son is in the emergency room. He was in a car accident, Nicole. They are saying he needs surgery tonight and there is a problem with the insurance. They need payment up front or they will not operate until morning. He could suffer all night waiting. Please, I need you to send the money right now." Nicole's heart was pounding. Her mind was trying to process his words, but they kept sliding around, refusing to make sense. She pressed her palm against her forehead, feeling the coolness of her skin against her trembling fingers. "Your son?" "Raymond, we do not have a son." The silence that followed was so complete she could hear her own heartbeat echoing in her ears. 3 seconds. 4. 5. "Nicole." His voice cracked. "I am talking about Tyler. My son Tyler. He is 16 years old. He was driving home from his basketball game and someone ran a red light and hit him. Please, I am begging you. I will explain everything later, just please send the money." The world tilted sideways. Nicole found herself standing, though she did not remember getting out of bed. Her bare feet pressed into the plush carpet, grounding her. She walked to the window and looked out at the quiet street, at the manicured lawns and expensive cars parked in driveways, at the life she had worked so hard to build. Everything looked exactly the same as it had 6 hours ago when she went to sleep. But nothing would ever be the same again. "You have a son." Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "A 16-year-old son. Nicole, I know this is not how you should have found out. I know I should have told you. But right now none of that matters. Tyler is hurt. He needs help. Please." "Who is his mother, Raymond?" Another pause. She could hear the sounds of a hospital in the background now. Beeping machines. An announcement over a PA system. The muffled sounds of people moving and talking. "Her name is Tanya. Tanya Mitchell. Nicole, I know you have questions. I will answer every single one of them. But right now, I need you to be the woman I married. The kind woman who would never let a child suffer. Please transfer the money. I will give you the account number." Nicole walked back to the bed. She sat down on the edge. Her red silk nightgown pooled around her thighs, and she stared at her hands in the darkness. These hands that had signed the mortgage papers for this house. These hands that had built a real estate development company from nothing. These hands that had held Raymond's face on their wedding day when she promised to love him forever. "You want me to send $33,000 at 2 in the morning for a son I never knew existed?" "Yes, please. Nicole, please." She could hear him crying now. Raymond Brooks, the man who prided himself on never showing emotion, was crying on the other end of the line. Begging. Pleading. "I am going to ask you one question, Raymond, and you are going to tell me the truth. How long?" "What?" "How long have you been with her? How long have you known about this boy?" The crying stopped. The silence stretched. Nicole closed her eyes. 17 years. She laughed. The sound surprised her. It bubbled up from somewhere deep inside, a hollow, broken sound that had no joy in it at all. 17 years. Longer than she had known him. Longer than their entire marriage. "So you married me while you had another woman. Another family." "It is not like that. I was going to end things with her, but then she got pregnant and I could not just abandon my son. I thought I could manage both. I thought I could be there for Tyler and still be a good husband to you. I love you, Nicole. I have always loved you. You love me. You love me so much that you have been lying to me every single day for 12 years. You love me so much that you have another woman, another child, another whole life that I knew nothing about. Nicole, please. We can talk about all of this later. Right now, Tyler needs surgery. I am begging you. I will do anything. Just send the money." Nicole stood up again. She walked to her closet and turned on the light. Rows of designer clothes hung in perfect order. shoes arranged by color, handbags displayed on shelves. All of it paid for by her. All of it part of the life she had built while her husband was building another life somewhere else. Call his real mother. What? You heard me, Raymond. Call Tanya. Call the woman you have been with for 17 years. Call the mother of your child. Ask her for the money. Because I am not sending you a single penny. Nicole, please, you cannot do this. Tyler is innocent in all of this. He is just a kid. He is hurt. And I am sorry for that. I truly am. But I did not know that child existed until 5 minutes ago. He is not my responsibility. He is yours and his mother's. Figure it out together. Nicole, I do not have $33,000. Tanya does not have that kind of money. You are the only one who can help. Then I suggest you start making some phone calls. Call your mother. Call your brothers. Call your friends. Call whoever you want. But do not call me again tonight. Nicole, wait. Please. I am begging you. If you ever loved me at all, please just, Nicole, wait, please. She pressed the button to end the call. The phone rang again almost immediately. She turned it off and set it on her nightstand. Then she walked to the bathroom, turned on the light, and stared at herself in the mirror. A beautiful African-American woman with deep brown skin and eyes that had always been called kind stared back at her. She was wearing the red silk nightgown she had bought for their anniversary last year, when Raymond had canceled dinner at the last minute because of work. Or, how many times had it been work? How many late nights at the office were actually nights with her? With him? Nicole washed her face. She brushed her teeth. She walked back to the bedroom, climbed into bed, and closed her eyes. She thought sleep would be impossible. She thought she would lie there for hours, crying, screaming into her pillow, spiraling into the kind of grief that swallows people whole. But instead, she felt something else settling into her bones. Something cold and calm and ancient. It was the same feeling she had when she was 22 years old and her business partner tried to steal her company. The same feeling she had when the bank denied her first loan application and told her to find a man to co-sign. The same feeling that had carried her through every obstacle, every setback, every person who had underestimated her. It was the feeling of a woman who had been knocked down and was already planning how to get back up. She did not cry. She did not scream. She did not spiral. She went back to sleep. The call from the police station came at 8:47 the next morning. Nicole was in the kitchen when her phone rang. She had been sitting at the breakfast table for over an hour, drinking coffee that had long gone cold, staring at the bright emerald green of her refrigerator door and thinking about nothing and everything all at once. The morning sun streamed through the windows, casting long rectangles of light across the marble countertops. Everything looked normal. The fruit bowl on the island. The stack of mail she had not opened yet. The calendar on the wall with their anniversary marked in red, 3 weeks away. She had not turned her phone back on until 7. There were 37 missed calls from Raymond. 12 voicemails. 22 text messages, each one more desperate than the last. She had not listened to any of them. She had not read any of them. She had simply set the phone on the counter and watched it like it might explode. When it rang again with an unknown number, she almost did not answer. But something made her pick it up. Mrs. Nicole Brooks? Yes. Who is calling? This is Detective Ronald Patterson with the Morrison County Police Department. I apologize for the early call, but I need to ask you to come down to the station. There are some matters we need to discuss regarding your husband, Raymond Brooks. Nicole's hand tightened around the phone. What kind of matters? It would be better if we discussed this in person, Mrs. Brooks. Can you come to the station this morning? Is he hurt? Is something wrong? Pause. Then the detective's voice came back, careful and measured. Mr. Brooks is in our custody, ma'am. He was arrested last night. I think it would be best if you came down so we can explain everything properly. Nicole looked at the clock on the wall. 8:49 a.m. less than 7 hours ago, her husband had called begging for $33,000 for a son she never knew existed. Now he was in police custody. I will be there in an hour. She hung up and stood very still in her kitchen, feeling the cold of the marble floor seeping through her slippers. Her mind was trying to make connections, trying to piece together a puzzle that did not yet have all its pieces. Raymond. A secret son. $33,000. An arrest. Nicole went upstairs and got dressed. She chose her clothes carefully, the way she always did when she had an important meeting. A tailored blue blazer. A white silk blouse. Gray slacks that fit perfectly. She twisted her hair into a neat bun at the nape of her neck and applied just enough makeup to look polished but not overdone. When she looked in the mirror, she saw a woman who was in complete control. She did not feel in control. But no one needed to know that. The Morrison County Police Station was a squat brick building on the east side of town, surrounded by parking lots and chain-link fences. Nicole had driven past it hundreds of times but had never been inside. She parked her car, a silver Mercedes that Raymond had always resented because it was nicer than his, and walked through the front doors with her head held high. Detective Patterson was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes that had seen too much. He shook her hand firmly and led her to a small interview room with a table and 2 chairs. The walls were beige. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Everything smelled like stale coffee and old paper. "Thank you for coming, Mrs. Brooks. Please have a seat." Nicole sat. Her back was straight, her hands folded on the table in front of her. She waited. The detective sat across from her and placed a manila folder on the table. He did not open it immediately. Instead, he studied her face for a long moment, as if trying to decide how much she already knew. "Mrs. Brooks, I need to ask you some questions about your husband's finances. Specifically, about some irregularities that have come to our attention." "What kind of irregularities?" "Your husband works at Morrison Financial, correct? As a senior accountant." "Yes. He has been there for 15 years. "And are you aware of any large sums of money that may have gone missing from his company?" Nicole frowned. "No. I handle our personal finances, but I have nothing to do with his work." "Why are you asking?" Detective Patterson opened the folder. Inside were pages of numbers, bank statements, transaction records. He spread them out on the table like playing cards, each one revealing another piece of a picture Nicole was only beginning to see. "Mrs. Brooks, your husband has been embezzling money from Morrison Financial for at least 5 years. We are looking at approximately $400,000 in stolen funds. Last night, he attempted to move $33,000 out of a company account in the middle of the night. The company's security system flagged the transaction, and his employer called us." Nicole stared at the papers. The numbers swam before her eyes. $400,000. 5 years. "That is what he wanted," she said slowly. "The money he asked me for last night." "He said his son was in the hospital." The detective nodded. "Yes, ma'am. His son was injured in a car accident. The hospital bill triggered his attempt to access funds quickly. But the money he tried to take was not his. It belonged to Morrison Financial." "His employer had him arrested?" "Yes. Mr. Howard Morrison himself filed the complaint. The charges are multiple counts of grand theft and embezzlement. Your husband is being held without bail until his arraignment." Nicole sat very still. The sunlight coming through the small window fell across the table, illuminating the documents that detailed her husband's betrayal. Not just the betrayal of his marriage vows. Not just the betrayal of his secret family. But the betrayal of his company. His colleagues. Everyone who had ever trusted him. "Mrs. Brooks, I need to ask you a difficult question. Were you aware of any of this?" "No." Her voice was firm. "I had no idea about any of it." "Your husband did not discuss his finances with you? You never noticed any unusual spending, any unexplained money?" Nicole thought about all the times Raymond had insisted on keeping their accounts separate. All the times he had told her he was handling investments that she did not need to worry about. All the times she had trusted him because that was what wives were supposed to do. "We kept our finances mostly separate. He handled his income, I handled mine. I earn well, detective. I run a successful real estate development company. I never had any reason to look closely at what he was doing with his money because I did not need it. I supported both of us." The detective made a note. "I understand. Mrs. Brooks, we will need to investigate your accounts to ensure no stolen funds were deposited into them. This is standard procedure. Investigate whatever you need to investigate. I have nothing to hide. I appreciate your cooperation." He paused. "There is something else you should know. Your husband asked us to call you. He wants to speak with you. He is hoping you might be willing to help with his legal situation." Nicole stood up. The chair scraped against the floor. She looked down at the detective, at the papers spread across the table, at the cold beige walls of this room where her entire life had just been laid bare. "Detective Patterson, until last night, I did not know my husband had a son. Until this morning, I did not know he was a thief. I have spent 12 years married to a man who has been lying to me every single day. I'm not going to help him with anything. I am going to go home, call my lawyer, and figure out how to protect myself from whatever else he has done that I do not know about yet." The detective nodded slowly. "I understand, Mrs. Brooks. If you think of anything that might be relevant to our investigation, please give me a call." He handed her a business card. Nicole took it and slipped it into her purse. One more question, detective. The woman, Tanya Mitchell. Does she know about the arrest? I believe so, yes. She was at the hospital last night when Mr. Brooks was taken into custody. Good. Nicole walked toward the door. Then she can figure out how to help him. Because I am done. She walked out of the police station and into the morning sun. The sky was a bright, clear blue, and birds were singing in the trees along the sidewalk. It was a beautiful day. The kind of day that should have been full of promise and possibility. Nicole got in her car and called her best friend. Denise, I need you to come over right now. And bring everything you know about divorce law and fraud investigations. My entire life just fell apart and I need to figure out how to put it back together. Denise Carter arrived at Nicole's house within the hour. She was a tall woman with natural hair pulled back in a puff, wearing a maroon pantsuit that somehow managed to look both professional and ready for battle. She had been Nicole's best friend since their freshman year at Howard University, and she had seen Nicole through every triumph and tragedy of the past 20 years. But even she was not prepared for what Nicole had to tell her. They sat in Nicole's living room, surrounded by the elegant furniture and expensive artwork that Nicole had collected over the years. Denise listened without interrupting as Nicole told her everything. The 2 a.m. call. The secret son. The arrest. The embezzlement. When Nicole finished, Denise was silent for a long moment. Then she leaned forward and took her friend's hands. I need you to listen to me very carefully, Nicole. Whatever you are feeling right now, whatever anger or sadness or confusion is going through your mind, you need to push it aside. We have work to do. Legal work. The kind that will determine what the rest of your life looks like. I know. Raymond is not just a cheater. He is a criminal. And criminals, when they are desperate, do desperate things. We need to find out exactly what he has done and make sure you are protected. Nicole nodded. She had already come to the same conclusion in the hours since leaving the police station. Whatever grief she felt, whatever heartbreak was waiting for her on the other side of the shock, it would have to wait. Right now she needed to be smart. Where do we start? We start with your finances. I need to see every account you share with Raymond, every piece of property, every investment, everything. We need to know what he had access to and whether he touched any of it. They spent the next 4 hours going through Nicole's files. Bank statements, tax returns, property deeds, insurance policies. Everything Nicole had kept organized and filed away, trusting that her husband was doing the same. What they found made Nicole sick. The house, which Nicole had assumed was in both their names, had been transferred to Raymond's name only 3 years ago. Her signature was on the transfer document, but Nicole had never seen it before. She had never signed it. He forged my signature. Denise examined the document closely. It looks like it. We will need a handwriting expert to confirm, but this is not your signature. The loop on the N is wrong and you never dot your I like that. There was more. Credit cards in Nicole's name that she had never applied for, all maxed out with charges Nicole had never made. A second mortgage on the house that had apparently been taken out 2 years ago, the money withdrawn and gone. Joint accounts that had been slowly drained over the past year, money transferred to an account Nicole did not recognize. Where did it all go? Nicole asked, staring at the evidence of her husband's theft. Denise pulled up her laptop and did some searching. The account the money was transferred to is in Raymond's name only. But look at the withdrawals. Regular payments to this address in Fairview Heights. Fairview Heights. Nicole knew that neighborhood. It was a nice area about 20 minutes from their house, with good schools and tree-lined streets. The kind of place where families lived. That is where she lives, Tanya. That is where his other family lives. It looks that way. Nicole stood up and walked to the window. The afternoon sun was slanting through the glass, casting long shadows across the floor. She could see her garden, the roses she had planted last spring, the fountain she had installed because she thought it was peaceful. All of it paid for with money she earned while her husband was funneling their joint finances to another woman. He married me for my money. The words came out flat, emotionless. A simple statement of fact. Nicole. Think about it, Denise. When we met, I was already building my company. I had just closed my first big deal. He was a junior accountant making $40,000 a year. And I thought, he is stable, he is kind, he is not intimidated by my success. I thought I had found a partner. But I was just a checkbook. Denise came to stand beside her. You could not have known. He fooled everyone. Did he, though? Nicole turned to face her friend. Did he really fool everyone? Or was I the only one who did not see it? What do you mean? His mother, Lorraine. She must have known about Tyler. You do not hide a grandchild for 16 years. She must have known everything. Denise's eyes widened. You think his whole family knew? I am going to find out. Nicole picked up her phone and dialed Lorraine Brooks's number. The older woman answered on the third ring, her voice as polished and pleasant as always. Nicole dear, how are you? It has been so long since you called. Lorraine, I need to ask you something and I need you to tell me the truth. Do you know about Tyler? Silence. Lorraine? The pleasant tone was gone when her mother-in-law spoke again. Nicole, whatever Raymond has told you, I am sure there is an explanation. These things, family matters, they can be complicated. So you do know. You have known this entire time. Now, Nicole, I really think you should calm down and think about this carefully. Raymond loves you. Whatever mistakes he has made, I am sure the two of you can work through them. Marriage is about forgiveness, dear. It is about standing by your husband even when things are difficult. Nicole gripped the phone so hard her knuckles ached. Your son has been stealing from me for years. He forged my signature on legal documents. He has a whole other family that you have been helping him hide from me for over a decade. And you want me to forgive him? He's your husband, Nicole. For better or worse, remember? You took a vow. And he broke every single one of his vows to me. Multiple times. For 17 years. While you helped him. I was just trying to keep the family together. Raymond was young when Tanya got pregnant. I thought if he just had some time he would figure out how to handle things. And then he met you and you were so successful, so driven. I thought maybe you could be a good influence. I thought you could help stabilize him. Nicole laughed. The same hollow laugh from the night before. You thought I could stabilize him. You saw me as a solution to your son's problems. Not as a person. Not as his wife. Just a tool to fix him. Nicole, please. Let us not say things we cannot take back. Lorraine, I want you to hear this very clearly. I will never speak to you again. I will never set foot in your home again. As far as I am concerned, you do not exist. And when I am finished with your son, he is going to wish he did not exist either. She hung up before Lorraine could respond. Denise was watching her with something like awe. Are you okay? No. Nicole set the phone down carefully. I'm not okay. I am angry. I am hurt. I feel stupid and used and betrayed in ways I did not even know were possible. But I am also done. Done being the good wife. Done trusting people who do not deserve it. Done pretending that everything is fine when it is not. So what do you want to do? Nicole turned back to the pile of documents on her coffee table. The evidence of her husband's crimes. The proof of his lies. I want to make sure he cannot hurt me anymore. I want to get my house back, clear my name from those fraudulent debts, and make sure every penny he stole from me is recovered. And then I want to divorce him and watch him face the consequences of everything he has done. Denise smiled. It was a fierce smile, the kind of smile that said she was ready to fight. Then let us get to work. They worked until long after dark, organizing evidence, making lists of legal actions to take, planning their strategy. By the time Denise left, Nicole had a clear path forward. She knew what she needed to do. She did not sleep that night. But it was not because she was crying. It was because she was planning. The knock on Nicole's door came 3 days later. She had spent those 3 days in a whirlwind of activity. Meetings with Denise. Meetings with forensic accountants. Meetings with the bank and the credit bureaus and anyone else who could help her untangle the web of fraud Raymond had woven around her life. She had barely slept, barely eaten. But she had accomplished more in 72 hours than she thought possible. The fraudulent credit cards had been reported and were being investigated. The second mortgage was being contested. A handwriting expert had confirmed that Nicole's signature on the property transfer had been forged. Slowly, piece by piece, she was reclaiming her life. But she had not yet filed for divorce. And she had not yet pressed charges against Raymond for the forgery and fraud he had committed against her specifically. She was waiting. Gathering more evidence. Making sure her case was airtight. The knock came at just past 7 in the evening. Nicole was in her home office, surrounded by paperwork, wearing the same emerald green blouse she had put on that morning. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and there was a smudge of ink on her cheek from a pen that had leaked. She was not expecting anyone. Nicole walked to the front door and looked through the peephole. The woman standing on her porch was about her age, with light brown skin and hair that had been straightened and styled carefully. She was wearing too much makeup, and her clothes were expensive but slightly wrong, as if she had tried hard to look wealthy and missed by just a few inches. Tanya Mitchell. Nicole knew she should not open the door. Denise had specifically warned her not to engage with anyone connected to Raymond until their legal strategy was fully in place. But something cold and curious stirred in her chest. She wanted to see this woman. She wanted to look in the eyes of the person who had stolen 17 years of her life. She opened the door. Tanya's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Surprise. Uncertainty. And then, strangely, something that looked almost like defiance. Mrs. Brooks. Nicole. Thank you for answering. I was not sure you would. What do you want? I wanted to talk to you. Woman to woman. About Raymond. Nicole leaned against the doorframe, blocking the entrance to her home. There is nothing to talk about. Please. I know you must hate me. I understand. But Raymond is in jail and Tyler is still recovering from his surgery, and I have no idea what to do. I thought maybe if we could just talk, maybe we could figure something out. Together. Nicole studied her. This woman who had knowingly participated in an affair for nearly 2 decades. Who had borne her husband's child and kept him secret. Who had benefited from the money Raymond stole from Nicole's accounts, from the life Nicole had built. Let me make sure I understand. You want me to help you? The woman my husband has been seeing behind my back for our entire marriage. The mother of his secret child. You think we should work together? Tanya's jaw tightened. I know it sounds crazy. But Raymond always said you were the kindest person he knew. He said you would help anyone no matter what. Raymond said a lot of things. Most of them were lies. Look, I am not asking for myself. I am asking for Tyler. He is just a kid. He did not ask to be born into this situation. He is lying in a hospital bed right now wondering why his father is in jail and why his whole life is falling apart. Whatever you think of me, whatever you think of Raymond, Tyler is innocent. Nicole felt something flicker in her chest. A momentary softness, a reminder of the woman she used to be. The woman who would have done anything to help a child in need. But that woman had learned a hard lesson over the past few days. Kindness without boundaries was just another word for doormat. Tyler has a mother. That is you. He has a father. That is Raymond. I am neither of those things. I am just the woman your boyfriend married so he could have access to her money while he played house with you. Tanya's eyes flashed. You think I wanted this? You think I enjoyed being the other woman for 17 years? Raymond promised me he was going to leave you. Every year he said he just needed a little more time. A little more money saved up. I stayed because I loved him and because I believed him. I am a victim here too. You are not a victim. You are a co-conspirator. You knew he was married. You knew he was lying to me. You could have told me the truth at any point in the last 12 years, but you did not because you wanted what I had. You wanted my husband's attention, his time, his money. And you did not care that he had to steal it from me to give it to you. I did not know about the stealing. I swear I did not know about any of that until the police came. Maybe. Maybe not. Either way, it is not my problem. Raymond is in jail because of his own choices. Tyler is in the hospital because of an accident. None of this has anything to do with me. And none of it is my responsibility to fix. Tanya stepped forward, her voice rising. How can you be so cold? I thought you were supposed to be this good, kind, generous person. Raymond always said you were so perfect, so caring. But you are just standing here watching while everything falls apart and you will not even lift a finger to help. Nicole straightened to her full height. She was not a tall woman, but something in her posture made Tanya take a step back. You want to know why I am not helping? Because I spent 12 years being the good wife. The understanding wife. The wife who did not ask questions when her husband worked late or traveled for business or had to miss anniversaries and holidays. I spent 12 years trusting, believing, supporting. And what did it get me? A husband who was lying to me every single day. A house that was stolen from under my feet. Debt I never agreed to. A mother-in-law who was in on the whole thing. She took a breath. I am done being kind to people who use my kindness against me. Raymond saw my generosity as weakness. His mother saw it as convenience. You saw it as something you could exploit. Well, guess what? I'm not exploiting myself anymore. If Raymond's son needs help, Raymond can figure it out from his jail cell. And you can figure out how to be a mother without my checkbook to fall back on. Tanya's face crumpled. For a moment, Nicole almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Please. I am begging you. I will do anything. I will tell you everything you want to know about Raymond. About what he said about you. About his plans. Just please help us. I do not need information from you. I have lawyers and forensic accountants and law enforcement officers who are already finding out everything I need to know. And even if I did need something from you, I would not take it. Because I am done having anything to do with you, with Raymond, or with anyone connected to this mess. I am going to divorce my husband, recover my assets, and move on with my life. What happens to you after that is not my concern. She started to close the door. Wait. Tanya's voice cracked. At least tell me what is going to happen to Raymond. The lawyer said something about federal charges. Is that true? Is he going to prison? Nicole paused. Probably. He stole $400,000 from his company. He forged my signature on legal documents. He committed identity fraud. So yes, he is probably going to prison for a very long time. And honestly, I hope he does. She closed the door in Tanya's face. Through the frosted glass of her front door, she watched the shape of the other woman stand there for a long moment. Then finally Tanya turned and walked away. Nicole leaned against the door and let out a long breath. Her hands were trembling. Not from fear. Not from sadness. From the sheer effort of holding herself together, of being strong when everything inside her wanted to scream. Her phone buzzed. A text from Denise. How are you holding up? Nicole typed back. Just had a visitor. Tanya Mitchell. She wanted me to help Raymond. 3 dots appeared, then Denise's response. Please tell me you did not let her in. I did not. I told her to leave. Good. Remember what I said. No contact with anyone from that side. They will try to manipulate you. Nicole knew Denise was right. She walked back to her office, back to her paperwork, back to the task of dismantling her marriage and rebuilding her life. But as she sat down at her desk, she allowed herself one small moment of satisfaction. She had said no. After years of saying yes to everything, of giving and giving and giving until there was nothing left, she had finally learned to say no. It felt like the beginning of something new. 3 weeks had passed since the night of the 2 a.m. call. Nicole sat in a conference room at Denise's law firm, surrounded by stacks of documents and flanked by a team of professionals. There was Denise, of course. There was a forensic accountant named Patricia who specialized in uncovering financial fraud. There was a private investigator named Samuel who had been digging into Raymond's secret life. And there was the assistant district attorney, a sharp woman named Evelyn who was handling the criminal case against Raymond. The table was covered with evidence. 5 years of Raymond's crimes, laid out in black and white. Let me walk you through what we have found, Patricia began. She was an older woman with silver-streaked hair and reading glasses that she wore perched on the end of her nose. Raymond Brooks has been systematically defrauding both his employer and his wife for at least 5 years, though there are indications it may go back further. She slid a document across the table to Nicole. This is a summary of the embezzlement from Morrison Financial. $412,000, taken in small increments over time. He was smart about it. Never took too much at once. Always made it look like legitimate expenses or accounting errors. If his son had not ended up in the hospital, triggering that emergency withdrawal attempt, he might have gotten away with it for years more. Nicole looked at the numbers. It was strange seeing her husband's betrayal quantified so precisely. Every dollar represented a lie. Every transaction was another piece of evidence that the man she married had never really existed. What about the fraud against me specifically? The private investigator, Samuel, spoke up. He was a quiet man with careful eyes. That is where things get really ugly, Mrs. Brooks. Your husband has been systematically draining your joint accounts for the past 3 years. He transferred the money in small amounts to a personal account, then used it to support his other household. He laid out bank statements, highlighted and annotated. Here is where he moved $5,000 from your savings to his account. Here is where he used your credit card to buy furniture, then returned it for cash. Here is where he took out a credit card in your name using forged documents. Nicole's stomach turned. Every line item was another violation, another invasion, another piece of proof that she had been living with a stranger. How much did he take from me? Approximately $87,000 over 3 years. Plus the second mortgage on your house, which was $60,000. Plus the fraudulent credit cards, which total another $40,000 in debt. We are looking at close to $200,000 in direct theft and fraud. The number hung in the air. Nicole felt Denise's hand on her arm, a silent show of support. But there is good news, Samuel continued. We have enough evidence to prove that all of this was done without your knowledge or consent. The forged signatures alone are enough to invalidate the property transfer and the second mortgage. And because Raymond committed these crimes while you were legally married, you have civil standing to sue him for recovery. What about the house? Denise took over. I filed the emergency motion yesterday. Based on the handwriting analysis and the documented pattern of fraud, we are asking the court to immediately void the property transfer and restore the deed to your name. Given the strength of our evidence, I expect the judge will rule in our favor within the week. And the criminal charges? The assistant DA Evelyn spoke for the first time. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, with the kind of presence that commanded attention. Mr. Brooks is facing multiple felony counts. Embezzlement from Morrison Financial is the big one, but we are also charging him with forgery, identity theft, and fraud related to his crimes against you. If convicted on all counts, he is looking at 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 years. Nicole let that sink in. The man she had loved, had shared a bed with, had planned to grow old with, might spend the next decade and a half in prison. She should have felt something. Satisfaction maybe. Or sadness. Or relief. But all she felt was tired. What do I need to do? She asked. For now, nothing, Evelyn said. The criminal case will proceed regardless of your involvement. You will likely be called as a witness at trial, but that is months away. In the meantime, focus on the civil side. Protect your assets. Get your divorce. About that. Nicole turned to Denise. I want to file the divorce papers. Today. Denise nodded. I have them ready. We are citing fraud, abandonment, and irreconcilable differences. Given the circumstances, I do not anticipate any pushback from the court. The only complication is the asset division, but since we can prove Raymond stole from you, not the other way around, you should come out of this with everything that was yours to begin with. And nothing of his. Nothing of his. Which, given that everything he claimed to own was either stolen or purchased with stolen money, is basically nothing anyway. Nicole almost smiled. When can we file? I can have it done by end of business today. Raymond will be served in jail tomorrow. Do it. The meeting continued for another hour, covering details and contingencies and next steps. By the time they finished, Nicole's head was spinning with legal terms and financial figures. But beneath the exhaustion, beneath the lingering hurt, there was something else. Clarity. For the first time since this whole nightmare began, she could see the path forward. It was not going to be easy. There would be more meetings, more paperwork, more painful revelations. But she was no longer stumbling in the dark. She knew where she was going and how to get there. She was going to get her house back. She was going to clear her name. She was going to recover her money. And she was going to watch her husband face justice for everything he had done. After that, she was going to build a new life. A better life. One without lies. One without secrets. One without Raymond Brooks. As she walked out of the law firm into the afternoon sun, Nicole felt something she had not felt in weeks. The next 6 weeks were the hardest of Nicole's life. Every day brought new revelations. Every conversation uncovered another lie. Every document she reviewed showed another way Raymond had betrayed her. It was like peeling an onion, except instead of layers there was only rot. She learned that Raymond had been planning to leave her. Emails recovered from his work computer showed conversations with Tanya about finally being together and starting fresh once he had enough saved up. He had been waiting until he had stolen enough money to set up a comfortable life with his other family, and then he was going to disappear. She learned that the car accident that had exposed everything was Tyler's fault. The 16-year-old had been driving without a license, in a car Raymond had bought with embezzled money, on his way back from a party he was not supposed to attend. The other driver, a young woman named Grace, had been hospitalized with a broken leg and was now suing Tanya for damages. She learned that Raymond's co-workers had suspected something for years. Several of them came forward during the investigation, admitting they had noticed irregularities but had not wanted to say anything. He was so friendly, one of them said. So normal. It never occurred to us that he might be stealing. Normal. The word haunted Nicole. Her husband had seemed so normal, so kind, so trustworthy, and all of it had been an act. But the hardest thing she learned was about herself. Going through their shared history with fresh eyes, she began to see all the signs she had missed. The times Raymond had deflected questions about his phone. The evenings he had claimed to be working late when his office was actually closed. The weekends he had visited his sick mother, when Lorraine was perfectly healthy and posting photos on social media from brunch with friends. She had not seen it because she had not wanted to see it. She had been so invested in her marriage, in the idea of being happily married, that she had ignored every warning sign. She had explained away every inconsistency. She had trusted when she should have questioned. You cannot blame yourself, Denise told her one evening. They were sitting on Nicole's back patio, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. Raymond was a professional liar. Deceiving people was literally his job. He was an accountant. He was a con man who happened to work as an accountant. The skills are the same. Numbers, manipulation, making things look good on paper when they are rotten underneath. Nicole sipped her wine. It was a nice vintage from the collection she and Raymond had started building together after their honeymoon in Napa. Another memory tainted by everything she now knew. I just keep thinking about all the time I wasted. 12 years, Denise. 12 years of my life, given to someone who saw me as nothing but a funding source. Those years were not wasted. You built a successful business. You made friends. You created a beautiful home. None of that was about Raymond. That was all you. But I could have had more. If I had known the truth, I could have left. I could have found someone who actually loved me. I could have had children. The last word caught in her throat. Children. The thing she had wanted most, the thing she and Raymond had tried for year after year. Except now she suspected he had never really tried at all. Why would he? He already had a child. Why would he want another one with the woman he was planning to leave? Denise reached over and squeezed her hand. You can still have all of that. You are 38 years old, Nicole. You have decades ahead of you. This is not the end of your story. It is just the end of a very bad chapter. Nicole wanted to believe her. Some days she almost did. But other days the weight of everything pressed down so hard she could barely breathe. Still she kept going. She went to meetings. She reviewed documents. She answered questions from lawyers and investigators and reporters who had somehow gotten wind of the story. She showed up every day even when she wanted to stay in bed and never get up again. And slowly, inch by inch, things started to turn around. The court ruled in her favor on the property transfer. Her house was hers again, free and clear. The second mortgage was voided. The fraudulent credit cards were removed from her record, her credit score beginning to recover. Raymond was denied bail twice, deemed a flight risk after investigators discovered he had been researching countries without extradition treaties. He was stuck in county jail, waiting for his trial, watching his carefully constructed life fall apart piece by piece. Tanya's house, the one Raymond had been making payments on, went into foreclosure. Without his stolen money supporting her, she could not afford the mortgage. Last Nicole heard, she and Tyler were moving in with her brother across town. Nicole did not take pleasure in any of this. She was not the kind of person who enjoyed watching others suffer, even those who had hurt her. But she did feel a certain grim satisfaction in seeing the truth finally come to light. For years, Raymond had built his happiness on a foundation of lies. Now that foundation was crumbling, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. One evening, about 2 months after the 2 a.m. call that had started everything, Nicole received a letter. It was from Raymond, sent from the county jail. She considered throwing it away without reading it. Denise had advised her to cut off all contact, to let the lawyers handle everything. But curiosity got the better of her. She needed to know what he could possibly have to say. The letter was 3 pages long, written in Raymond's careful accountant's handwriting. It was full of apologies and explanations and justifications. He was sorry. He had never meant to hurt her. He had loved her in his own way. He had just gotten in too deep and did not know how to get out. He had made mistakes, yes, but did not she make mistakes too? Was not she being a little harsh? After everything they had shared, did not he deserve a second chance? Nicole read it twice. Then she folded it carefully, placed it in an envelope, and mailed it to Denise's office with a note attached. For the file. Might be useful at trial. She did not write back. She did not visit. She did not even think about him more than necessary. She was done with Raymond Brooks. Now it was time to focus on herself. 3 months after the arrest, Nicole walked into the county jail. She had not planned to come. 4 weeks, Denise had been fielding requests from Raymond's public defender, asking Nicole to meet with her husband, to hear him out, to consider reconciliation. Nicole had refused every time. She had nothing to say to Raymond, and she certainly did not want to hear anything he had to say to her. But then the trial date was set. 4 months away. And Nicole realized that before she could truly move on, she needed one thing: closure. She needed to look Raymond in the eye and tell him exactly what she thought of him. Not for his sake. For hers. The visiting room was a bleak space with gray walls and plastic chairs bolted to the floor. There were other visitors scattered around, mostly women with tired eyes and children who did not understand why Daddy was behind the glass. Nicole took her seat at the designated station and waited. When Raymond appeared on the other side of the glass, she barely recognized him. He had lost weight. His face, once handsome and confident, was gaunt and pale. There were dark circles under his eyes and a defeated slump to his shoulders. The orange jumpsuit hung off his frame like it belonged to someone else. He picked up the phone on his side. Nicole did the same. Nicole. His voice cracked. You came. I did not think you would come. I almost did not. But you are here. That has to mean something, right? You still care. You still... I am not here because I care, Raymond. I am here because I needed to say some things to you, and I wanted to see your face when I said them. His expression shifted, hope fading into something more guarded. Okay. I am listening. Nicole took a breath. She had rehearsed this moment 100 times in her head, but now that it was here, the words felt different. Heavier. More real. I loved you. I want you to know that. Whatever else happened, whatever lies you told, my love was real. I gave you 12 years of my life, the best years of my life, because I believed in us. I believed in you. Raymond's eyes glistened. Nicole, do not interrupt me. You have had months to talk. Now it is my turn. He closed his mouth and nodded. I trusted you completely. When you said you were working late, I believed you. When you said you wanted children, I believed you. When you said you loved me, I believed you. I built my entire life around that trust, Raymond. And you used it against me. I never meant to. I said do not interrupt. Her voice was steel. You stole from me. Not just money, though you certainly did that too. You stole my time. My fertility years. My peace of mind. My ability to trust. You stole everything I had to give, and you gave it to someone else. Tears were rolling down Raymond's cheeks now. I know I did. And if I could take it back. But you cannot. That is the thing, Raymond. You cannot take it back. You cannot undo 17 years of lies. You cannot unhave a child with another woman. You cannot unsteal $400,000. You cannot undestroy my credit and my home and my marriage. All you can do is live with the consequences. Nicole, please. I am begging you. I know I do not deserve your forgiveness, but please at least try to understand. I got trapped. I made one mistake and then another, and then I was in so deep I could not see a way out. I thought if I just had a little more time, a little more money, I could fix everything. I could. You could leave me. Nicole's voice was quiet now. That was the plan, was it not? Steal enough money, then disappear with Tanya and Tyler. Start a new life somewhere I would never find you. He did not deny it. He just looked down at the counter in front of him, unable to meet her eyes. I found the emails, Raymond. I know everything. The only reason you did not leave sooner is because you got greedy. You wanted to take as much as you could before you went. And you got caught because your son got hurt and you panicked. I was going to tell you. Eventually. I was going to. No, you were not. You were never going to tell me the truth. The only reason I know any of this is because Tyler crashed a car he should not have been driving in the first place. If that accident had not happened, you would still be lying to me. You would still be stealing from me. You would still be living your double life while I sat at home like a fool, waiting for a husband who was never really mine. Raymond was silent. There was nothing he could say. They both knew it. Nicole leaned closer to the glass. I want you to know something, Raymond. I'm going to be okay. Not because of you, but in spite of you. I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to testify at your trial. And then I am going to forget you ever existed. Nicole, I am done being your wife. I am done being your victim. I am done being the woman who believed your lies. She stood up, still holding the phone. Goodbye, Raymond. I will see you in court. She hung up the phone and walked away. Behind her, she could hear him calling her name through the glass, could see him pressing his palm against the barrier as if he could somehow reach her. But she did not look back. She had said what she needed to say. She had gotten her closure. Now it was time to move forward. Spring came early that year. Nicole stood on the deck of her house, newly refinished and painted a cheerful blue that matched the sky overhead. The garden was blooming with daffodils and tulips, colors bursting from every corner of the yard. It had taken months of work and thousands of dollars to repair the damage Raymond had done, both to the property and to her life. But standing here now, watching the sunset paint the horizon in shades of rose and amber, she felt something she had not felt in a very long time. The divorce had been finalized 2 weeks ago. Raymond had not contested it, mostly because his public defender had advised him that fighting would only make things worse. The settlement was simple. Nicole got everything that was hers, Raymond got nothing because he had nothing legitimate to give. The marriage that had consumed 12 years of her life ended with a judge's signature and a stack of paperwork. She thought she would cry. She did not. The financial recovery had taken longer. Nicole had spent countless hours with Patricia, the forensic accountant, tracking down every dollar Raymond had stolen and documenting every fraudulent account. Most of the money was gone, spent on Tanya's house and Tyler's expenses and Raymond's elaborate double life. But some of it had been recovered from frozen accounts, and the civil judgment against Raymond meant she would eventually get more, even if she had to wait until he got out of prison to collect. The house was fully hers again. The fraudulent debts had been removed from her record. Her credit score, decimated by Raymond's crimes, was slowly climbing back to where it had been. She was not whole, not yet. But she was getting there. Her business had survived barely. The scandal had cost her some clients, people who did not want to be associated with the wife of a convicted embezzler. But other clients had rallied around her, offering support and referrals and the kind of loyalty that cannot be bought. She had even landed a major new project, a commercial development in the downtown district that would keep her busy for the next 2 years. Work had become her sanctuary. Every meeting, every negotiation, every blueprint and budget was a reminder that she was more than Raymond's victim. She was a successful businesswoman who had built something real and lasting. No one could take that away from her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Denise. "Dinner tonight? I have news." Nicole smiled and typed back. "Your place or mine?" "Yours. I will bring wine." Denise arrived at 7, carrying 2 bottles of something expensive and wearing a grin that suggested her news was good. They settled on the deck with glasses in hand, watching the last light fade from the sky. "So what is this news?" Denise took a dramatic sip of her wine. Raymond's lawyer tried to file a motion for a reduced sentence. Claimed he was a first-time offender who deserved leniency. And the judge denied it. She said, and I quote, that the defendant's systematic and prolonged pattern of deception demonstrates a fundamental lack of remorse and a continued threat to the community. He is going away for the full term. 12 years minimum. Nicole let that sink in. 12 years. Raymond would be in his mid-50s when he got out. His career would be over. His reputation would be destroyed. His other family, the one he had sacrificed everything for, would have moved on without him. She should have felt triumphant, vindicated. But all she felt was tired. "You know what the strangest part is?" she said. "I do not even hate him anymore. I should. After everything he did, I should want him to suffer. But mostly I just feel done. Like he is a chapter in a book I have already finished reading." Denise nodded. "That is healthy, actually. Hate takes energy. And you have better things to spend your energy on." "Like what?" "Like living your life. Like building your business. Like figuring out who Nicole Brooks is when she is not trying to be someone's perfect wife." Nicole smiled. It was something she had been thinking about a lot lately. For so long, her identity had been wrapped up in her marriage. Wife, partner, Mrs. Brooks. Now she was just Nicole again. Just herself. And she was still figuring out what that meant. "There is one more thing," Denise said, her tone shifting to something more serious. "Tanya tried to contact me last week. She wanted to pass a message to you. I do not want to hear it." "I know. I told her that. But she was persistent. She said she wanted to apologize. To explain her side of things. To ask if maybe someday you might consider forgiving her." Nicole shook her head. "I'm not interested in her apology. I'm not interested in her explanations. What happened between her and Raymond was their business, and what happened to me because of it is mine. Those two things do not need to intersect ever again." That is what I told her. She did not take it well. "Not my problem." Denise raised her glass. "I will drink to that." They clinked glasses and sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out one by one. The night was warm and the wine was good, and for the first time in months, Nicole felt like she could breathe. She did not know what the future held. She did not know if she would ever trust anyone enough to love again, or if she would ever fully heal from what Raymond had done. But she knew one thing for certain. She was going to be okay. Not because someone had saved her. Not because the bad guys had gotten what they deserved. But because she had saved herself. She had fought back. She had refused to be a victim. And that was enough. The trial of Raymond Brooks began on a Tuesday morning in September. The courtroom was packed. Local news crews had set up outside the building, eager to capture footage of the disgraced accountant and his spurned wife. Social media had been buzzing about the case for months, turning Nicole's private tragedy into public entertainment. She hated every moment of it. But she showed up anyway. Nicole took her seat in the gallery, wearing a deep maroon dress that Denise had helped her pick out. "Confident but not flashy," her friend had said. "You want to look like someone who has her life together, not someone seeking revenge." It was good advice. Nicole had spent enough time in courtrooms over the past few months to know that appearances mattered. Raymond was led in by 2 officers, his orange jumpsuit replaced by a cheap suit his public defender had probably picked up at a thrift store. He looked older than he had during their last encounter at the jail. Prison had not been kind to him. His eyes found hers across the crowded room. She held his gaze for a long moment, then looked away. She had nothing left to say to him. Everything that needed to be communicated had been said through lawyers and documents, and the simple, devastating fact of her absence from his life. The prosecution's case was methodical and thorough. Witnesses from Morrison Financial testified about the irregularities Raymond had created, the missing funds, the elaborate systems he had built to hide his theft. Patricia, the forensic accountant, walked the jury through years of financial records, explaining in clear language how Raymond had systematically stolen from his employer while making everything look legitimate on paper. Then came the testimony about what Raymond had done to Nicole. Denise had prepped her for hours, going over every question, every possible challenge, every emotional trigger that might throw her off. But nothing could have truly prepared Nicole for the experience of sitting in that witness box, looking at the jury and telling 12 strangers the story of how her husband had betrayed her. She kept her voice steady as she described the forged signatures, the stolen money, the fraudulent credit cards, the house that had been taken from her through deception. She answered every question clearly and directly, never looking at Raymond, never letting emotion crack her carefully constructed facade. But inside she was screaming. Not from anger. Not from sadness. From the sheer, overwhelming weight of having to relive every moment of her betrayal in public, with cameras recording and reporters taking notes and strangers watching her marriage fall apart in real time. When she finally stepped down from the witness stand, her legs were shaking so badly she had to grip the railing for support. Denise met her at the gallery, took her arm, and guided her out of the courtroom before anyone could see her collapse. They sat in a quiet hallway away from the crowds and the cameras. Denise handed her a bottle of water and said nothing, just sat beside her while Nicole remembered how to breathe. Is it over? Your part is. The prosecution will wrap up today, and then Raymond's lawyer will try to mount a defense. But honestly, there is not much he can say. The evidence is overwhelming. This is just a formality. How long until the verdict? Could be days. Could be a week. Jury deliberations are unpredictable. Nicole nodded. She took a long drink of water and tried to steady herself. The hardest part was done. Now she just had to wait. The wait lasted 4 days. On Saturday afternoon, Nicole got a call from the district attorney's office. The jury had reached a verdict. She drove to the courthouse alone. Denise was out of town for a family emergency, and there was no one else Nicole wanted with her for this moment. Some things you had to face by yourself. The gallery was less crowded than it had been during the trial. Most of the reporters had moved on to other stories, leaving only the most dedicated news crews and a handful of spectators. Nicole took her seat in the same spot she had occupied all week, folded her hands in her lap, and waited. Raymond was brought in. He looked worse than ever, like he had not slept in days. His eyes were red-rimmed and hollow. He did not look at Nicole this time. He just stared at the floor, waiting for his fate to be announced. The jury foreman stood. On the count of grand theft, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. On the count of embezzlement? Guilty. On the count of forgery? Guilty. On the count of identity theft? Guilty. On the count of fraud? Guilty. Raymond's head dropped to his chest with each word, like he was being physically struck. By the time the foreman finished reading the verdict, all 10 counts, all guilty, Raymond Brooks was a broken man. The sentencing came 2 weeks later. 12 to 15 years in federal prison. No possibility of early parole. He would be an old man when he got out, if he got out at all. Nicole watched from the gallery as they led him away in handcuffs. He looked back at her one last time, his eyes full of something she could not identify. Regret maybe. Or desperation. Or just the dawning realization that his choices had consequences, and he was finally going to face them. She felt nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. No closure. Just nothing. As she walked out of the courthouse into the bright September sun, she realized that justice, real justice, was not about watching the bad guy get punished. It was about being free. Free from the lies. Free from the betrayal. Free from the weight of carrying someone else's sins. Raymond was going to prison. But Nicole was finally going home. 6 months later, Nicole stood on the balcony of a penthouse suite in Miami, watching the sunrise over the Atlantic. She was here for a conference, a gathering of real estate developers from across the country who were interested in sustainable building practices. Her company had been invited to present a case study on one of their recent projects, a green residential complex that had won several awards and attracted significant media attention. It was the kind of opportunity she had dreamed about for years. The kind of success that proved she was more than just a woman whose husband had been sent to prison for fraud. She sipped her coffee and thought about how much had changed. The house in Morrison County was gone, sold 3 months ago to a nice young couple with 2 kids and a dog. Nicole had not been able to stay there, not with all the memories, not with the neighbors whispering every time she walked outside. She had used the money from the sale to buy a condo in the city, a sleek modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows and no history at all. Her business was thriving. The downtown project had come in under budget and ahead of schedule, earning her a reputation as someone who could deliver results even under difficult circumstances. New clients were coming in faster than she could handle them. She was thinking about hiring a partner, maybe expanding to a second office. Denise had met someone new, a kind woman named Rosalie who worked at a nonprofit and thought Denise's lawyer jokes were actually funny. They were talking about moving in together. Nicole had never seen her friends so happy. Lorraine had tried to reach out twice, both times with passive-aggressive messages about family healing and the importance of forgiveness. Nicole had blocked her number and felt nothing but relief. Tanya and Tyler had disappeared from her radar completely. She assumed they were still living with Tanya's brother, trying to rebuild their lives. She did not care enough to find out. And Raymond? Raymond was 2 years into his sentence at a federal facility somewhere in the Midwest. He had written to her once, a rambling letter full of self-pity and vague promises about becoming a better man. She had thrown it away without reading past the first paragraph. She was done with Raymond Brooks. Completely, finally, utterly done. The door to the balcony opened behind her. Nicole turned to see a familiar face, Elliot Turner, the contractor she had been working with on the downtown project. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with kind brown eyes and a smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. They had been spending more time together lately. Business dinners that turned into long conversations. Working lunches that extended into afternoon walks. A connection that neither of them had named yet but both of them felt. Mind if I join you? Nicole smiled and gestured to the chair beside her. Please. Elliot sat down with his own cup of coffee, looking out at the ocean. Beautiful view. It is. Are you nervous about the presentation? A little. But mostly excited. It feels good to be here on my own merits, you know? Not as someone's wife. Not as a victim. Just as Nicole Brooks, real estate developer. Elliot nodded. For what it is worth, I think you are going to knock it out of the park. You always do. She looked at him, at the easy way he held himself, at the warmth in his eyes. There was no agenda with Elliot. No hidden motives. No secret families or embezzled funds or elaborate lies. He was exactly what he appeared to be, a good man who enjoyed her company and wanted to see her succeed. She was not ready for anything serious. The wounds from her marriage were still healing, probably would be for years to come. But for the first time since the 2 a.m. call that had changed everything, she felt something she had thought was lost forever. Oh. Elliot, can I ask you something? Anything. What do you see when you look at me? He considered the question seriously, the way he considered everything. I see a strong woman who went through something terrible and came out the other side. I see someone who built something amazing with her own 2 hands and refused to let anyone take it from her. I see someone I would very much like to know better if she will let me. Nicole felt her throat tighten. Not from sadness. From something else entirely. I'm not ready for anything serious. You should know that. I have a lot of baggage and trust does not come easy for me anymore. I understand. I'm not asking for anything serious. I'm just asking for a chance. Breakfast maybe. Or dinner. Or just more mornings like this one, watching the sunrise and talking about nothing in particular. She looked out at the ocean, at the golden light spreading across the water. A new day was beginning. A new chapter was starting. And for the first time in a very long time she was excited to see what it would bring. Breakfast sounds nice. Elliot smiled and she smiled back, and they sat together in comfortable silence as the sun rose higher over Miami. Nicole did not know what the future held. She did not know if she would ever love again or trust again, or let someone into her heart the way she had let Raymond in all those years ago. But she knew one thing for certain. She was going to be okay. Not because a man was going to save her. Not because the universe owed her a happy ending. But because she had saved herself. She had fought for her life, her home, her business, her self-respect. She had looked at the worst thing that had ever happened to her and decided it would not define her. She had chosen herself. And that was the most radical, revolutionary, healing thing she had ever done. The sun continued to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold and orange. A new day. A new beginning. A new Nicole. She took a deep breath of the salty air and smiled. This was just the beginning.